Hi, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to fulfill a request. Somebody had asked me to do like a day in the life video of like just what life, like a normal day would be with like twins and a toddler. So I'm going to do that today. I'm going to chew bubble yum again. I think I just did this in my last video, but when I came up here, it was the only one that I had. So I'm going to do that. Oh, it smells so good. Cotton candy. Chopped my hair off. It is a hot mess today because it's raining and humid and just like gross. And we went to the park earlier, so I was in the rain and whatever. But everyone is napping and I figured this was a good time to do a video. So excuse the mess, but I gotta do it when I can do it because I am not always able. Okay, so the twins are almost 3 months old, which is so crazy. On the one hand, it's like, it feels like they've been here for way longer than that because it's just been a tough, like, transition. But on the other hand, it feels like, wow, that happened really fast. So, the nights are getting better, thankfully. Hopefully they just keep getting better. Right now, depending on how you look at it, they're really only waking up usually once in the night. Because the second time they wake up is, again, usually like almost 5 in the morning or even 6 sometimes. But that's not every night. So I'm going to start with the night because I feel like that kind of bleeds into my day. We try to get them down at 7 p.m. which is awesome because my toddler, he was my first kid, and he was going to bed at like 9 or 10 at night until I sleep trained him. So this is awesome. I don't know if it's just because it's my second time around doing this or like how it ended up falling this way, but I think probably too, my husband and I would try to get my oldest son down right as we were going to bed in hopes that we would get some sleep. But this time around, this has just worked better for us. So they go to bed. I say 7. Really, it's between 7 and 8 because sometimes I have to go back in there and nurse to get them to really go down. I've struggled with that this time too because with my son, right before bed, I would go in his room, turn the lights off, and feed him until he fell asleep. But with the twins, I really try to lay them down awake, except for their night feedings. And I kind of want to keep them in the light because I want them to stay awake and get a really good feeding before bed. So I normally nurse them in the living room and then we try to put them down. Usually with my little girl, she wants to be nursed to sleep. And that's the only time I do that in the day. But so I usually have to go back in there and nurse her a little bit more. That's pretty typical. So sometimes I'm able to go in right after 7, nurse her for just a few minutes and put her down, and then they're like asleep by 7:15, and that's awesome. Because then we have like an hour to spend with our older son, because he doesn't go to bed till around 8. And so that's like special time that he has with me and my husband alone without the twins. And so we really like having that time with him. So then he goes to bed at 8. Then I usually pump after that because I like to just like have some milk stored away. I don't pump for very long, but that's kind of the time that my husband and I have alone. So we usually watch part of a show, or he'll just have like a game on and we'll just visit and talk about our day and stuff. And then I usually am in bed before 9 o'clock because I never know when I'm going to have to be up again. And so I just like to go to bed and like read on my Kindle until I fall asleep. The past week or so, the twins have been doing a much longer stretch. So they've done several nights where they sleep from 7 to 2. That's incredible. That's not every night, but they're starting to do that. So that's amazing because that's 7 hours. Of course, we're not asleep for 7 hours, but still, we're getting a pretty good stretch of sleep, like 4, sometimes 5 hours, which is incredible. I don't sleep that long because my body has gotten so used to like getting up with them every few hours that I usually wake up and like look at the time and like try to fall back asleep and like, when are they gonna wake up? But my husband passes out for the whole time. I think it's just different for a mom. So hopefully as they do this more and more, my body will start to like regulate and go to sleep when they like are sleeping the whole time. But I get up and feed them and then put them back down. And then usually they'll only do like a 3, maybe 4 hour stretch. So like this morning, they woke up at 2 and then they woke up at 5. And I'm able to put them back down. Usually after that 5 o'clock feeding, I'll put them back down. And my son, the twin that's a boy, he wakes up before her for the day. So sometimes he'll wake back up at like 6:30, and I usually just go get him because I don't want him to wake her up. And usually me and him will just come out to the couch and I'll nurse him and like watch a fall movie or something until the others wake up. So that's sweet. Like this morning he slept till almost 7 and my toddler was still asleep. And baby girl was asleep. So I went and got him, came out to the couch, and I nursed him, drank my coffee, and I started watching my best friend's wedding. I'm on a Julia Roberts kick, I guess, because last week I watched Runaway Bride. Anyway, and so I nursed him, and then like he's like good and awake, and so I'll just like stare at him and make faces, and he smiles and laughs, and it's so sweet. And it's nice to get one-on-one time sometimes with one of the babies, because usually it's just like both all the time. So anytime I can get some like one-on-one time, that's special. So then baby girl woke up at 8, and I brought her out to the living room and nursed her while I kind of just played with him. And usually my toddler wakes up around 8, which is amazing. This morning he slept even later. He slept till like 8:30. And when we don't have anything going on, I don't wake him up because that's the joy of being a stay-at-home mom. He can just sleep. So different things happen on different days, but I try to get us out every morning because I've mentioned that before on my channel. It's just hard if we don't get out. Like, I get stir crazy. My toddler gets stir crazy. I've just found that it's better to get out. Now, that means that getting the twins their early nap, like their morning nap, is a little less structured. Like, they don't always get an amazing morning nap, but I would rather us be able to get out and enjoy some of our day than be stuck here because they've got a nap. And I know that different parents feel differently about that. Like, I have friends who, even though they have toddlers, they stay home for the infant's nap because they want them to be, really on a structured schedule. But I can't do it. I've got to be able to get out. So, like today we went to the park. We usually go to the park on Fridays and we meet some other moms there. But another morning we go to the library. Another morning we go to Bible study. So like, we have different things we do, but they're all morning activities. So what normally happens, although it's starting to happen less and less, is that we'll drive to where we're going. My son will fall asleep in his car seat, and my daughter will still be fussing when we get there. So I have a Moby wrap that I will strap her to me and take her out of her car seat from the get-go and strap her to me and get the stroller out and put my son in his car seat asleep in the stroller. We'll get out and go either into the library, Bible study, the park, and she will sleep on me and he will sleep in his car seat. But that does not always happen. Sometimes my son wakes up pretty quickly, that is what has happened this past week. It has been kind of chaotic getting out because he doesn't stay asleep in his car seat for very long. This is when I wish I would have gotten a twin wrap, but I didn't. So if that happens, I've just got to kind of hold him on my shoulder while she's strapped to me. Oftentimes that wakes her up because he's fussing and then things get crazy. Most of the time we go somewhere where there are other moms who are willing to help me. And that is very nice because, like at Bible study, everybody's a mom. And so they're all so understanding and helpful. Like, usually another mom will hold him and get him back to sleep. And I can just keep baby girl strapped to me. Sometimes at the library, I have friends there who will help me and hold a baby. So usually, if he won't sleep in his car seat, then he's missing a good nap. And she's getting like an okay nap. Sometimes it's chaos. But I say that, but it's still worth it to me to get out. Like, even though a lot of times I get like frazzled or like stressed because they're not sleeping or they're crying and whatever. It doesn't make me stay home. I just have to roll with it and like be like, okay, well, this wasn't as successful of an outing as it could have been, but we made it. My older son got to visit and play and hang out with other people. So did I, which is worth it. And then whenever we're done with library, park, Bible study, whatever it is, sometimes we will stop by my husband's work to say hi to him because he works near some of those things. And then we will come home for lunch. And what that usually looks like is I will get my toddler set up in his high chair with lunch, and I will set up to nurse the babies while he's eating. And so we'll visit. Sometimes I'll put like a little show on for him while I'm nursing, or we'll just visit. Sometimes if we get home earlier, I'll eat with him before I nurse the babies, just depending on what time it is. And then the joyous part is, even though my mornings are pretty unstructured when it comes to sleep, I get them all in bed by 1 p.m. So like today, I put the twins down at like 12:40 because they did not nap well this morning. Got them down around 12:40 and then got my son down right after 1. And the twins will sleep 2.5 to 3 hours usually, which is amazing. My son never napped like that when he was a baby. And my son, his naps are very irregular. Like, I can never count on him to sleep a certain amount of time. Hopefully that'll be different with the twins, but with him, he could nap 1 hour, he could nap 3. I don't know. But I wake everybody up by 4. If anybody is still asleep at 4, they get woken up because I want everybody to go to bed when they're supposed to. So while I'm not very structured in the mornings, I am very structured with my afternoons. Like that 1 o'clock nap is a major priority because that's my like only time without them. For me to clean the kitchen, get dinner started. Sometimes I take a nap myself. Sometimes I do my Bible study. Sometimes I make a video. It just varies day to day, but that I know that I have that time where it's usually uninterrupted. Like sometimes the twins will have a hard time, or one of them will wake up in the middle of the nap and I'll have to like nurse them back down. But I have pretty uninterrupted time from 1 to at least 3, sometimes 4. So if they haven't already, like yesterday, the twins woke up at like 3:15. I have for the past like 2 weeks, I have separated them for their afternoon nap. I had not been doing that, but they have started waking each other up. And at the nighttime, it's not a big deal because I feed them at the same time regardless of who wakes up. But nap time, it is a big deal because I want the other one to stay asleep. So I've been putting my son in a room in a pack and play and keeping baby girl in the nursery. And that has worked so much better because if she wakes up, he keeps sleeping and vice versa. So that has really helped me. So then at 4, everybody wakes up. Usually somebody, if not all of them, are up at that time. But I nurse the babies at 4, and then we, depending on what we're having for dinner, I will either start like working on that, or we will go for a walk. Now that the weather's nice, it's been amazing because we go for a walk almost every evening, either before dinner or after dinner with everybody. And that has helped the babies have more happy time, because that's the fussiest time of day. From when they finish nursing till they nurse again at 6:30. That's a fussy time. And I'm hoping that we're nearing the end of that. It has gotten a lot better. But, you know, the first 3 months, 3 to 4 months, it's like if they're colicky or whatever, like they're going to have a time where they're fussy. So that's their time. So when we can be outside and go for a walk, they're usually happy during that time. And then we will usually lay them down while we eat dinner. Lay them down to like kick around, not to sleep. Like put them in a mamaroo or put them. I finally pulled out my little kick play piano thing. My son really likes that. My daughter has started. I'll prop her up with blankets and sit her in this little play seat thing, and she likes that because she can kind of look around. So we'll sit them in something while we eat. And then either go for a walk, go to the park, something after dinner. And then I nurse them at 6:30 and we start the bedtime situation. So sometimes it's just, it just varies day to day, how things like fall and work and like how everybody's doing. But that's a typical day. And then, you know, anybody who's had infants, you're just like gearing up for the night. It's not really, it is a letdown in the sense when we get everybody in bed, we're kind of like, and we can kind of like breathe and visit for a minute. But you're not like, oh, yay, I'm done for the day. You're like, okay, here we go. The night begins. And so like some nights it's like they wake up at 10:30 or 10:45 and I'm like, what's going on with you? You're not supposed to be up, but you're too small for me to do anything else, so I'm just gonna feed you. Those times have gotten less and less. Like they're definitely doing longer stretches, like I said, but we do have nights where they wake up at like 12 and then 2 and then 5, and I'm like, oh, we're back to like the early days. But it's getting better. I will say, like, for the first 2 months, as soon as I would feed them, I could just pass back out because I was so exhausted. And now that they're giving longer stretches, I have found that it's a little bit more difficult for me to fall asleep after I feed them. Like last night, I fed them at 2. And it was, you know, it probably was in there for like 20 minutes or so, 20, 25 minutes. And then I was still awake at 3:15, and I was just like, because my brain is like having a hard time shutting back down. And I, you know, I'll still take that because I'm having to like be up nursing less, but I think it's because they're doing longer stretches, so my body's like, oh, I just got some sleep, like I'm gonna be awake for a while. But I'm always able to like get it going in the morning. Like, you know, when I just had my son, it was like, oh, I'm so exhausted. I was like a zombie, and like I would just like feed him and then like try to lay on the couch and drink my coffee. I didn't really go places in the morning and stuff, but like with them, I'm like, okay, we got to get going. We got to get our day started. And like that has helped me mentally, I think, to like be in more of a routine and not just like, I'm going to lay around because I'm so exhausted. Like, I feel like I don't feel the exhaustion as much when we just kind of keep living life, like doing things. Something that my son and I used to do before the babies were here is we would do all the grocery shopping and stuff during the day, but I can't do that with 3. Like, maybe I'll get there, but right now it's too stressful to think about taking all 3 of them in. Like, logically, I guess I would strap one to me keep one in their car seat and put him in the shopping cart and put my son in the seat. But like, if they start screaming and I'm stuck with a cart full of groceries, like there's nothing I can do. So I haven't done that yet by myself. Like my husband and I have done it together, but I decided to get the Walmart delivery thing because I was like, I'm about to have twins. I'm not going to go. And that's been a lifesaver. So that's something that I don't have to do anymore. Like I can just place the order and have it delivered to my house. But I think this summer it's usually like $100, I think, for a year, which is still awesome. It's worth it to me because I can't do it right now. But this summer they were running a special and it was like $50 for the whole year instead. And so I did it because I was like, oh yeah. And it is worth it because I get them every week. I get a delivery. And that has been such a blessing. So sometimes if I need something, when my husband gets home from work, like I will often zip out for a little bit just to get a breather. Like if we need something at the grocery store, I'll go do that, or walk around Target for a minute or something to just like have a moment to myself. But that's a pretty typical day for us. So it's always interesting, often chaotic, but we're making it work and it's a blessing. I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful to have my kids and to be in this season. It is hard for sure, but it's also awesome. And I have a really good community of moms around me who are like so encouraging and just like share advice and wisdom. And anyway, I'm really thankful for that because I couldn't do it if I did not have that, like a good mom community. There are I've gotten to know a lot of stay-at-home moms in this area, and that has really helped me. So yeah, that's a typical day. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm gonna try to keep fulfilling requests. I just kind of have to do them as I can. You guys know I'm not posting super regularly right now, but thank you for your support and for watching, and I will see you soon.